All right, I'm back, YouTube. I got the dash cut. I got my strips, sheet metal in there, pop riveted in. I even went as far as I tack welded, put some tacks on the sheet metal. That way it keeps it tight, uniform. Just give it a little extra strength. Got this side in as well. I already test fitted in there. Fits pretty good. So I'm happy with that. Got a little more work to do. I'm gonna show you guys this. How this is using some pop rivets. These are 3/16 inch diameter. They grip up to 3/8. All aluminum blind rivets. I'm gonna show you guys. So the dash is a bunch of separate pieces, but it actually has the cover on it. So I'll show you guys this. So if you see here, this is the cover. Let me set it up here so you can see. So boom, this is the cover on the shell of the the shell of the dash. So you can see that, this is just plastic as well. And it actually has, it bolts down with some 7mm little small screw bolts. It's got a few spots that it bolts down, and then it also just clips down. All of these clips hold it down as well. So I kind of lucked out with this dash. Like I said, I keep saying over and over, this is my very first one I've ever done. So, it's trial and error, but I kind of lucked out with this dash because it's nice having this cover separate like this, because now, let me grab the other pieces so I can show you guys. Now with the cover separate, I'm just laying it up there. It's not snapped in or nothing, so I'm just trying to give you guys the idea of what's going on. I don't know where I set the other piece at right now, YouTube, but just want to give you guys the idea. So once this cover is on this dash, now of course I have to fill this gap in here. So, I'm gonna have to remove this material. It's gonna get rewrapped, but I'm gonna remove this material and I'm gonna have to fill this, of course, fill this gap in here. So this is just plastic on the back side. This was where the airbag was. It had a little metal with some screws in it, melted into the plastic, but it's just plastic on this side. So what we're gonna do is, I'll fill this gap in, just setting it up there. Say that's how big my gap is. I think it's 2.5 inches on the passenger side, and I went with 3 inches on the driver's side. I'm gonna fill this in the same way. But what I'm gonna actually do to this one, I'm thinking about not even fiberglassing any of this, the structure. Thinking about just adding some more pieces of metal here and there. Adding some more pieces of metal, building them up, pop riveting them in, and then tack welding them like I did, and just leave the structure of it just like that. I'm not gonna cover it up, try to fiberglass it, spend a whole bunch of extra time trying to, make the shell of the dash perfect. All I need the shell of the dash for is really to be structurally strong. So, as long as the support is there and the dash is structurally sound, the shell is getting bolted into the frame that I'm building in the truck. So that's gonna secure everything and lock everything together, and you'll never see any of these metal pieces that I have on here, because like I said, the dash top is gonna cover that. There's a trim panel here that I'll have to extend. It's also wrapped in material, vinyl or whatever it is. I'm gonna extend that out. That's gonna cover that. The dash rolls down over this lip right here, and there's a little light goes underneath here. So once I grind these rivets down, you'll never see any of these. You'll never see the top of the dash where I got the metal at and the tack welds. So my main focus on making everything look good is this dash pad, the actual pad that the material goes to. So I'm gonna do the same thing with it as far as taking some strips of metal, I'm thinking pop riveting on there, and then I'm actually gonna fill it with some fiberglass. I'm gonna use the fiberglass mat and the resin, and I'm gonna fill that in and just get it as smooth as, you know, it don't have to be perfect, because this actual material, you can see the picture from the side, this actual material has, I'd say, a 1/8 inch pad on it. So, you know, as long as you get it decently smooth, from everything I watched, you know, this is a paint and body shop that I'm at. My buddy does all the paint and body work. I do all the welding and fabricating. So, you know, I know that as long as the panel, once I get all of this together, as long as it's somewhat smooth, that little padding of the material will cover any imperfections, and you'll never know that if there's a little slight hump, or, you know, it's a little wavy, it's not perfect, you'll never know that, because once that material is on there and it's pulled tight and it's glued down, you'll never notice. It'll look just like it did from the factory. You know, I'm really happy with the way it's turned out so far. On the end of the dash here, let me show you this. I cut the dash structure out. So this is actually off of the dash bar that was in the car. I just cut it out, and it bolts and it holds the form of the dash on the side. And I did the same thing on the other side over there. And I cut the center section out of the dash bar, and I was able to use some of the bar from the Chevy truck. So here's the center section. Show you guys this. I made some tabs that these came factory on the SRX. I cut them down, and they already had these bolt holes in them, ran the bolts in from the side. They did that from the factory, but they was a lot longer because the SRX didn't have the big transmission hump. So I cut them down, welded them up, welded them to the floor, so I can unbolt these and pull the structure out if need be, because this bar that you see going across here is a part of the factory Chevy bar that was in there. So it has 4 bolts that holds it over here, and I cut it right here. If you guys remember from the other video, I cut it here because this is where the dashboard is going. Then I have this piece over here, this little piece here. It bolts over there where those bolt holes is, and it's stuck out a little bit. So that's what I'm gonna weld to the 2 ends that I just showed you on the dash. I'm gonna weld over here on the passenger side to this bar. I'm gonna weld it to it, maybe make a few more little brackets over in this area. Then over here, this is not steel. This is some kind of cast aluminum. So I'm gonna make me a plate. There's all of these bolts in it already from the factory. Here, 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 here. So what I'm gonna do is make me a plate that bolts to these bolts. Then I can make me a little bracket off of one of those plates that I bolt down off of a piece of steel, and then weld to that outside bracket I just showed you on the dash. I am gonna put my vents back up in here, so I'll at least have defrost and all of that. I'm gonna make that work somehow. And that's about it, YouTube. So far, I really like the way it's turning out. It's coming along well. You know, I'm surprised. It's a lot of work involved in it, but you know, I'm really happy with the outcome so far. And I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I'm trying my best to try to give you guys a step-by-step, you know, how I'm doing it, how I'm going about it. I know there's probably guys that might watch this video and say, man, this guy's an idiot, or he's crazy, or, you know, just anything. Everybody has their own opinion. They have their own ways about going about things. But, you know, I always learn from trial and error. So I have a few $100s in this dash and console from the junkyard. And, you know, I'm going to make it work. But if I wasn't able to make it work, you know, I'm out a couple $100s, but I had that experience for the next time. So that's how I like to learn things, just trial and error, and, you know, go from there. I hope that you guys are learning something from this, or you're interested in this, and I hope you guys follow the build. We're gonna keep going and, you know, knock this thing out. Hopefully then the next week I'll have everything the way I want it, have it mounted in, and have this ready for the material. I might try to wrap this myself, go to like Joann Fabrics or Hancock Fabrics, the stores we have around here in Ohio, and buy some, you know, vinyl and try to wrap it myself. If not, I have an upholstery guy that It's a good friend of ours. He can knock it out for me, hopefully fairly cheap. This whole truck has been on a budget. I've been trying to do everything myself, save as much money as possible, learn some things. So I appreciate you guys watching. Hit the like, subscribe, comment. I'll try to get back to you guys with any comments or questions, or, you know, if you just want to tell me your stories. If anybody's done this before on my channel, you know, if you got any tips or anything, let me know. I appreciate it.